Ambassador Sarah Chen stood at the viewing window of the diplomatic ship Olive Branch. The stars looked peaceful from here, but she knew better. Somewhere out there in the darkness, 300 alien warships waited for her answer. The message had come 2 hours ago. Sarah still remembered every word. The Hegemony Council wanted Earth to surrender. They wanted humanity to give up all weapons, all ships, all hope of freedom. They gave Earth 72 hours to decide. Ambassador, called Lieutenant Torres from the communication station. The Hegemony fleet is holding position at the edge of our system. They're not moving closer. Sarah nodded but kept looking at the stars. The aliens thought they were being generous by giving humanity time to think. They believed humans would see the hopeless situation and make the smart choice. 300 ships against Earth's small fleet. It seemed like an easy decision, but the aliens did not understand humans very well. Captain Williams approached Sarah with a data pad. "Ma'am, we're getting reports from all over the system. Civilian ships are leaving Earth as fast as they can. The colonies are asking for instructions." Sarah took the pad and looked at the reports. Ships fleeing Earth, families trying to escape to the outer colonies, messages full of fear and panic. It looked exactly like what the aliens expected to see. "Any word from Admiral Rodriguez?" Sarah asked quietly. "He sends his regards," Captain Williams said with a small smile. "Says to take all the time you need with the negotiations." Sarah understood. Everything was going according to plan. The door to the bridge opened. Overlord Vexhar appeared on the main screen. The Zephyrian commander was tall and thin, with 4 arms and skin that changed colors when he spoke. Right now, his skin showed colors that meant he was pleased with himself. "Ambassador Chen," Vexhar said in his translated voice, "I trust you have considered our generous offer." Sarah put on her best worried expression. "Overlord Vexhar, surely we can discuss this. Humanity has always sought peaceful solutions." Vexhar's skin shifted to colors that meant amusement. "There is nothing to discuss. Your species has expanded too quickly. You build too many ships. You ask too many questions about things that do not concern you. The Hegemony Council has decided. Earth must accept our protection." "Protection?" Sarah made her voice sound desperate. "You mean occupation?" "Call it what you wish," Vexhar replied. "Your people will be safe under hegemony rule. Look at the Calarian system. They resisted us 20 years ago. Now they live in peace." Sarah knew about the Calarian system. The aliens had turned a proud warrior race into farmers and servants. Their ships were gone. Their weapons destroyed. Their children learned hegemony history instead of their own. "We need more time," Sarah said. "This decision affects billions of people." Vexhar's skin color shifted to show impatience. "You have 72 hours. Use them wisely, Ambassador. The hegemony fleet grows tired of waiting." The transmission ended. Sarah looked around the bridge. Everyone was watching her, waiting for orders. "Open a channel to Earth," she said. "I need to speak with the Security Council." While Torres worked on the connection, Sarah thought about the last 5 years. Ever since first contact, humanity had known this day would come. The galaxy was not a friendly place. 7 alien species controlled everything. They decided who could trade, who could explore, who could live free. When humans first reached the stars, they had been excited to meet other intelligent life. That excitement died quickly. The hegemony made it clear that newcomers had 2 choices: submit or be destroyed. Most species chose to submit. The aliens were very good at showing new races how hopeless resistance would be. They had done it for thousands of years, but humans were different. Humans had spent centuries fighting each other. They understood war in ways the hegemony had forgotten. The connection to Earth came through. President Martinez appeared on screen, along with Admiral Rodriguez and the other Security Council members. "Sarah," the president said, "what's the situation?" "They're not moving from their position," Sarah reported. "Vexhar is confident we'll surrender. He thinks we're just scared civilians trying to delay the inevitable." Admiral Rodriguez leaned forward. "How much time do we have?" 70 hours now," Sarah replied. "Is everything ready?" "Project Nemesis is on schedule," Rodriguez confirmed. "We just need them to stay where they are for another day." Sarah nodded. The past 5 years had been busy ones for humanity. While the aliens watched Earth's open activities, humans had been very busy in secret. Mining ships that looked normal carried special equipment. Trade vessels hid weapons in their cargo holds. Even passenger ships had been modified in ways the aliens could not detect. Most importantly, Humanity had built something the aliens knew nothing about. Something that would change everything. "Ma'am," Torres called out, "we're getting strange readings from the hegemony fleet." Sarah walked over to look at the sensor data. "What kind of readings?" "They're scanning everything in the system," Torres explained. "Our ships, the colonies, even the asteroids. But they're not finding anything unusual." Captain Williams smiled. "That's because they don't know what to look for." For years, human engineers had worked on hiding their real capabilities. They used materials that fooled alien sensors. They built weapons that looked like normal equipment. They turned ordinary ships into weapons of war. The aliens saw what they expected to see: a young species with basic technology. Ships designed for trade and exploration, not war. Colonies focused on mining and farming. They were completely wrong. "Ambassador," Torres said again. Message coming in from the hegemony flagship. "They want to talk again." Sarah straightened her uniform. It was time to play her part again. Vexhar appeared on screen. This time, other alien commanders were with him. Sarah recognized some of them from the intelligence files. Commander Thex of the Bruthan Empire. Admiral Crix from the Stellan Confederation. All of them looked confident and relaxed. "Ambassador Chen," Vexhar said, "we have been discussing your situation. Perhaps we can offer some encouragement for your decision." "What do you mean?" Sarah asked, making her voice shake slightly. "Your outer colonies," Thex spoke up, his voice like grinding metal. "They seem very isolated. Very vulnerable. It would be unfortunate if something happened to them while you consider our offer." Sarah felt real anger, but she kept it hidden. The aliens were threatening innocent people to force Earth's surrender. It was exactly what she expected from them. "Please," she said, letting desperation enter her voice, "don't hurt civilians. We're trying to find a peaceful solution." "Then find it quickly," Admiral Crix added. Her species looked like giant insects, and her voice buzzed when she spoke. The Hegemony Council grows impatient with human delays. The transmission ended again. Sarah looked around the bridge. Everyone looked angry now. "They just threatened our families," Torres said quietly. "I know," Sarah replied. "But remember, this is exactly what we expected. They always threaten civilians when species don't surrender fast enough." Captain Williams checked his watch. 68 hours remaining. Sarah nodded. Soon, the aliens would learn something new about humanity. They would discover that threatening human families was the worst mistake they could make. But for now, she had to keep playing the part of a desperate ambassador trying to save her people through negotiation. The aliens thought they were negotiating. They had no idea what was really coming. Sarah Chen sat across from the holographic images of 7 alien commanders. The meeting had been going on for 6 hours. She looked tired and stressed, exactly as she wanted to appear. "Please, you must understand," Sarah said, rubbing her eyes. "Earth's government needs more time to consider your terms. This affects 4 billion people." Overlord Vexhar's skin showed colors of growing annoyance. "Ambassador, we have been more than patient. Your species has had adequate time to accept reality. But surely some compromise is possible," Sarah continued. "What if we reduced our fleet by half? What if we agreed to hegemony observers on our colonies?" The alien commanders looked at each other. Commander Thex laughed, a sound like rocks grinding together. "You still do not understand, human. There is no compromise. Surrender or be destroyed." Sarah let her shoulders slump. "Then at least give us another day. Let me speak with our leaders again." Admiral Crix's insect-like head tilted to one side. "Very well. 12 more hours. But this is the final extension." The transmission ended. Sarah immediately straightened up and smiled. Around the bridge, her crew was working hard to hide their own smiles. 12 more hours, Captain Williams said. "That puts us right on schedule." "Any word from the fleet?" Sarah asked. Lieutenant Torres checked his console. "Admiral Rodriguez confirms all units are in position." "The Nemesis is ready," Sarah nodded. Everything was going perfectly. For the past 18 hours, the aliens had watched human ships fleeing throughout the system. They saw exactly what they expected: panic, confusion, and desperate attempts to escape the hopeless situation. What they did not see was the truth. The fleeing ships were not running away. They were moving into attack positions. Cargo vessels that looked harmless carried weapons that could destroy battleships. Mining ships held swarms of small attack craft. Even passenger ships had been turned into weapons platforms. But the most important thing the aliens could not see was hidden near Jupiter. "Ma'am," Torres said quietly, We're getting the hourly status update from Project Nemesis. Sarah walked over to his station. The message was short and coded, but it told her everything she needed to know. Humanity's secret weapon was ready. The Nemesis had been built in the asteroid belt over the past 5 years. It was larger than any human ship ever constructed, and it carried technology the aliens believed impossible for such a primitive species. The aliens had made a mistake. They judged human technology based on what they could see openly. They never imagined that humans might be hiding their real capabilities. Incoming transmission from Earth, Torres announced. President Martinez appeared on the screen. He looked worried and tired, but Sarah could see the determination in his eyes. "Sarah, how are the negotiations going?" he asked. "They've given us 12 more hours," Sarah replied. "The alien commanders are growing impatient, but they still believe we're just desperate for more time." "Good. Admiral Rodriguez sends word that all units are ready. The colonies are prepared. We're just waiting for your signal." Sarah nodded. "What's the status of the evacuation ships?" "All civilian vessels have reached safe positions," Martinez confirmed. "The real civilians, anyway. The other ships are waiting for orders." This was part of the deception. The aliens saw hundreds of ships fleeing Earth and heading for the outer colonies. They believed these were scared families running for their lives. Some of them were real civilian ships, but most were military vessels disguised as cargo haulers and passenger transports. Each one carried enough firepower to destroy an alien cruiser. "Ma'am," Torres called out, "the hegemony fleet is moving." Sarah quickly looked at the sensor display. The alien ships were repositioning themselves, forming a tighter formation around Earth. "They're getting ready for something," Captain Williams observed. Sarah opened a channel to the alien flagship. Vexhar appeared on screen and his skin color showed satisfaction. "Ambassador Chen," he said, "I wanted to inform you of our new position. As you can see, we are now closer to your homeworld." "Why?" Sarah asked, putting fear in her voice. "To encourage faster decision-making," Vexhar replied. "The sight of our fleet should help your leaders understand their situation." Sarah made herself look frightened. "Please, we just need a little more time." "You have 10 hours remaining," Vexhar said firmly. "Use them wisely." After the transmission ended, Sarah smiled again. The aliens were doing exactly what humanity wanted them to do. By moving closer to Earth, they had entered the kill zone. "Open a secure channel to Admiral Rodriguez," Sarah ordered. The Admiral appeared on a small screen. He was aboard the command ship Yorktown, hidden behind one of Earth's moons. "Admiral, the aliens have taken the bait," Sarah reported. "They're in the inner system now." "Excellent," Rodriguez replied. "All ships report ready. We have them exactly where we want them." "Any problems with the deception?" "None so far. Their sensors show exactly what we want them to see. Scared civilians, fleeing ships, a defenseless Earth. They have no idea what's really waiting for them." Sarah felt a moment of satisfaction. For 5 years, humanity had planned for this day. Every detail had been carefully considered. Every possible alien response had been anticipated. The hegemony had made this war inevitable. They had demanded humanity's surrender without even trying to understand what humans were capable of. "Admiral," Sarah said quietly, "they threatened our colonies earlier. Made it clear they would hurt civilians if we didn't surrender." Rodriguez's expression hardened. "I heard. That was their biggest mistake." Sarah knew he was right. The aliens had studied many species over the centuries. They knew how to pressure most races into surrender. But they had never encountered humans before. They did not understand that threatening human families was not a negotiating tactic. It was a declaration of war. "How long until the Nemesis is ready?" Sarah asked. "She's ready now," Rodriguez replied with a grim smile. "We're just waiting for your signal." Sarah looked at the time display. 8 hours until the alien deadline. 8 hours before they expected humanity to surrender or face destruction. The aliens had no idea they were about to learn something new about human nature. "Ma'am," Torres interrupted, "we're detecting increased communications between the alien ships." Sarah walked over to look at the analysis. The communications were heavily encrypted, but human computers had broken hegemony codes years ago. "What are they saying?" she asked. "They're discussing the final assault," Torres replied. "If Earth doesn't surrender in 8 hours, they plan to destroy our orbital defenses and begin bombardment." Captain Williams shook his head. "They really think we're helpless." "That's exactly what we want them to think," Sarah replied. "Keep monitoring their communications. I want to know the moment they begin their attack. Sarah returned to her station and opened another channel to the alien fleet. This time she spoke to all 7 commanders at once. Honored members of the Hegemony Council, she began, making her voice sound exhausted. I have spoken with Earth's leaders. We are prepared to discuss terms. The aliens looked pleased. Vexhar's skin showed colors of victory. Finally, he said, you have made the wise choice, Ambassador. We have some questions about the surrender process, Sarah continued. How quickly must our ships be turned over? What happens to our military personnel? For the next 2 hours, Sarah asked detailed questions about humanity's surrender. She appeared to be a broken negotiator trying to get the best terms possible for her defeated people. The aliens were happy to explain how complete human surrender would work. They talked about disarming Earth's ships, occupying the colonies, and re-educating human children. They spoke as if humanity's defeat was already complete. Sarah listened and nodded and asked more questions, all while watching the countdown timer, 6 hours until the deadline, 6 hours until the aliens learned the truth about humanity, 6 hours until they discovered that humans had not been negotiating at all. Intelligence Officer Kethara stared at her display screen with growing concern. Something was wrong with the human communications, but she could not figure out what. For the past day, she had been monitoring all transmissions in the Sol system. Most of what she saw made sense. Scared messages between Earth and the colonies, panic broadcasts from fleeing civilian ships, desperate communications between human military units. But there were other signals. Short bursts of data that appeared random. Her computer system said they were just background noise, but Kethara was not convinced. Officer Kethara called her supervisor, Commander Dexwill. What is your report? Kethara looked up from her station. The bridge of the Hegemony intelligence ship was busy with activity. Officers monitored the human fleet, tracked fleeing ships, and prepared for the final assault. Sir, I am detecting unusual patterns in human communications, she reported. Commander Dexwill walked over to her station. He was from the same species as Kethara, with gray skin and large eyes that could see many different types of light. What kind of patterns? He asked. Kethara showed him the data. These bursts appear random, but they happen at regular intervals. Every ship that leaves Earth sends them. Every colony receives them. Dexwill studied the display. Our computers have analyzed these transmissions. They contain no useful information. Yes, sir, but the timing is very precise, and the frequency matches no known human communication protocol. Dexwill looked annoyed. Officer, you are seeing problems where none exist. The humans are a broken species. Their communications are chaotic because they are panicking. Kethara was not satisfied, but she knew better than to argue. Yes, sir. After her supervisor left, she continued studying the data. The more she looked, the more convinced she became that something was hidden in these transmissions. She tried different decryption methods. She analyzed the timing patterns. She compared the signals to known human technology. Nothing worked. The burst still looked like random noise, but random noise did not repeat in exact patterns. Random noise did not get sent by every ship at specific times. Meanwhile, on the main bridge of the flagship, Overlord Vexhar was meeting with his senior commanders. They were planning the final assault on Earth. The humans have 4 hours to surrender, Vexhar announced. If they refuse, we begin orbital bombardment immediately. Admiral Crix clicked her mandibles together. Their defense platforms will not resist long. Human weapons are primitive. What about their fleet? Asked Commander Thex. Scattered throughout the system, reported the tactical officer. Most of their ships are fleeing toward the outer colonies. Only a few remain near Earth. Vexhar's skin showed satisfaction. Exactly as expected. They know they cannot fight us, so they run. The meeting continued for an hour. The commanders discussed which targets to hit first, how to minimize damage to useful infrastructure, and how quickly they could occupy the human colonies. None of them noticed that their intelligence officer was trying to contact them with urgent information. Kethara had finally broken through the first layer of encryption on the human signals. What she found made her blood run cold. The random noise was not random at all. It was a complex quantum encryption system, more advanced than anything the Hegemony had seen before. She could not read the actual messages, but she could tell they were coordinates. Navigation data, tactical information. The humans were not panicking. They were coordinating. Commander Dexwill, She called across the bridge. "Sir, I need to speak with you immediately." Her supervisor walked over, looking irritated. "What is it now, officer?" "Sir, the human transmissions are encrypted tactical communications. They are not random noise." Dexwell looked at her data, but he did not understand what he was seeing. "This looks like the same garbage you showed me before." "No, sir. I have partially broken their encryption. These are military orders disguised as civilian panic." "Impossible," Dexwell said firmly. "Human encryption is centuries behind our technology." Cathara pulled up more data. "Sir, look at this pattern. Every ship that appears to be fleeing actually changes course slightly after receiving these signals. They are not running away. They are moving into position." For the first time, Dexwell looked uncertain. He studied the navigation data more carefully. "Even if this is true," he said slowly, "what could they possibly be planning? They have less than 50 combat ships left in the inner system. We have 300. I do not know, sir, but I believe we should inform Overlord Vexhar immediately." Dexwell hesitated. Intelligence officers who reported false alarms did not advance in their careers. But if Cathara was right and he failed to report it, very well, he decided. Request an immediate audience with the Overlord. 20 minutes later, Cathara stood before the senior command staff of the Hegemony Fleet. Overlord Vexhar listened to her report with growing impatience. "Officer, you are suggesting that these primitive humans have fooled our entire intelligence network," he said when she finished. "Yes, sir," Cathara replied, trying to keep her voice steady. "You believe they have encryption technology superior to ours?" "The evidence suggests that possibility, sir." Admiral Crix laughed, a buzzing sound that filled the bridge. "Ridiculous. Humans have barely mastered faster-than-light travel. They could not have developed quantum encryption in secret." Commander Thex agreed. "We have been watching their technology development for years. They are decades behind the hegemony standard." Vexhar's skin showed colors of dismissal. "Officer Cathara, your concerns are noted. However, we will not change our plans based on speculation about impossible human capabilities." "But sir," Cathara pressed, "what if I am correct? What if they are preparing some kind of attack?" "With what?" Vexhar demanded. "Their few remaining ships? Their primitive weapons? Even if every human vessel in the system attacked us at once, they could not damage our fleet." The other commanders agreed. The idea that humans could threaten the Hegemony Fleet was absurd. "Return to your duties, officer," Vexhar ordered. "We have an ultimatum to deliver." Cathara left the bridge feeling frustrated and worried. She knew something was wrong, but no one would listen to her. She returned to her station and continued monitoring human communications. The encrypted signals were becoming more frequent. Whatever the humans were planning, it was almost ready. 2 hours until the deadline. On Earth, Admiral Rodriguez stood in the command center deep beneath the planet's surface. Around him, hundreds of officers worked at stations that did not officially exist. "Admiral," reported his intelligence chief, "the aliens are maintaining their position. No sign they suspect anything." "Good," Rodriguez replied. "What about our ships?" "All units report ready. The Nemesis is fully charged and standing by." Rodriguez looked at the tactical display. Red dots showed the positions of the alien fleet. Blue dots showed where human ships were really located. Not where the aliens thought they were. It was a perfect trap. "Sir," called another officer, "we're detecting increased activity from the alien intelligence ship. Someone over there is asking a lot of questions." Rodriguez frowned. "Are our communications secure?" "Yes, sir." "They might know we're sending encrypted signals, but they cannot read them, and they still think our ships are fleeing civilians." "Let's keep it that way," Rodriguez ordered. "Send the final preparation signal to all units." Across the Sol system, human ships received the coded message. Cargo containers opened to reveal weapon systems. Mining vessels deployed clouds of attack drones. Passenger ships dropped their disguises and showed their true nature as warships. The Hegemony Fleet was surrounded by enemies they could not see. On the diplomatic ship Olive Branch, Ambassador Sarah Chen received a message from Admiral Rodriguez. One word, ready. She opened a channel to the alien flagship. Overlord Vexhar appeared on screen looking confident and pleased. "Ambassador Chen," he said, "I trust you are prepared to announce your surrender." Sarah looked directly into the camera. Her expression was calm and determined. "Overlord Vexhar," she said clearly, "I have a message for you and your fleet." "Yes?" Vexhar replied. expecting to hear words of defeat. Sarah smiled. Negotiation terminated. Send was the Nemesis. For a moment, Vexhar looked confused. Then alarm began to show in his skin colors. What does that mean? He demanded. But Sarah had already cut the transmission. Across the human fleet, the signal was received and understood. The trap was sprung. The word "send was the Nemesis" had barely finished echoing through the hegemony flagship when the universe exploded into violence. Near Jupiter, space itself seemed to tear open. A massive shape appeared where nothing had been before. The Nemesis dropped its stealth field and revealed itself in all its terrible glory. 1 kilometer long, 500 meters wide. Built with technology the aliens thought impossible for humans to possess. Overlord Vexhar stared at the tactical display in shock. What is that thing? His tactical officer's voice shook as he replied. Unknown vessel, sir. It just appeared on sensors. Mass reading indicates. That's impossible. Report, Vexhar demanded. Sir, the vessel masses more than our 3 largest dreadnoughts combined. It's charging weapons. The Nemesis fired its first shot before the aliens could even raise their shields. A beam of pure energy struck the hegemony flagship dead center. The massive alien vessel exploded in a ball of fire that lit up half the solar system. Overlord Vexhar died instantly, never understanding what had killed him. Across the hegemony fleet, panic spread like wildfire. Alarms screamed on every ship as commanders tried to understand what was happening. All ships, battle stations. Admiral Crix broadcast from her vessel. Unknown enemy contact. Return fire immediately. But the humans were not finished with their surprises. Throughout the Sol system, hundreds of innocent-looking ships dropped their disguises. Cargo containers split open to reveal massive railgun batteries. Mining vessels deployed swarms of attack drones that moved faster than anything the aliens had ever seen. Even the passenger ships that had been fleeing toward the colonies turned around and showed their true nature. Each one carried enough missiles to destroy a cruiser. Commander Thex watched in horror as his sensors filled with new contacts. How many ships do they have? His tactical officer was working frantically at his console. Sir, I count over 400 active human vessels. That's impossible. Our intelligence said they only had 50 combat ships. Then our intelligence was wrong. Thex roared. The first wave of human attacks hit the alien fleet like a hammer blow. Railgun slugs moving at a significant fraction of light speed punched through alien shields as if they were not there. Missile swarms overwhelmed point defense systems that had never faced such coordinated attacks. In the first 30 seconds of combat, the hegemony lost 20 ships. On the command ship Yorktown, Admiral Rodriguez watched the battle unfold with grim satisfaction. The trap had worked perfectly. All units execute attack pattern Alpha, he broadcast. Remember, we want survivors to carry word back to their masters. The human fleet moved with precision that stunned the aliens. Every ship knew exactly where to be and when to be there. The attack had been planned and practiced for years. Admiral, reported his tactical officer, the Nemesis has destroyed the alien flagship and is engaging their battle line. Excellent. What about the outer perimeter? Our disguised freighters have the alien supply ships surrounded. They're surrendering without a fight. Rodriguez nodded. The aliens had expected a quick, easy conquest. Instead, they found themselves trapped in a carefully planned killing field. On the alien intelligence ship, Cathara worked desperately to understand what was happening. Her warnings had been ignored, and now the fleet was paying the price. Commander Dexwill, she called. The human fleet is using coordinated battle tactics. This level of organization requires years of preparation. Her supervisor was trying to contact other ships, but half the fleet was already gone.
How is this possible?
How could they have hidden so many ships? Cathara studied the sensor data. Sir, I believe they never hid them. These vessels were in plain sight the entire time. We simply misidentified them. What do you mean? The cargo ships, the miners, the passenger vessels. They were all warships disguised as civilian craft. We saw what we expected to see. Commander Dexwill stared at the tactical display. The human ships moved like a pack of predators striking from multiple directions at once. It was beautiful and terrifying. Signal the retreat, he ordered. Sir, signal all ships to retreat immediately. We cannot win this battle. But the retreat order came too late for most of the fleet. The humans had positioned their forces to cut off escape routes. Any alien ship that tried to flee found itself facing a wall of human missiles and energy beams. Admiral Crix tried to rally her remaining ships. All vessels, form defensive formation Delta. We can still fight our way out. Her ship shuddered as human railgun rounds struck its shields. The defensive barriers flared and began to fail. Ma'am, her tactical officer reported. We're being targeted by at least 30 human ships. Our shields cannot hold. Then we die fighting, Crix declared. Her ship lasted another 40 seconds before a spread of human missiles overwhelmed its defenses. The explosion could be seen from Earth. Throughout the battle, the Nemesis moved like a force of nature. The massive human dreadnought destroyed everything that came within range of its weapons. Its shields absorbed the aliens' return fire without even flickering. How are their shields so strong? Demanded Commander Thex from his burning bridge. His science officer checked the readings again. Sir, their shield technology is at least 50 years ahead of ours. I don't understand how a primitive species could have developed it. The answer was simple, though the aliens would never understand it. Humans had not developed the technology themselves. They had stolen it. For 5 years, human intelligence agents had infiltrated alien facilities throughout the galaxy. They had copied shield generators, weapon designs, and propulsion systems. Then human engineers had improved on everything they stole. The aliens had created their own downfall by underestimating human cunning. Commander. Thex's ship exploded just as he was reaching for the surrender button. The battle lasted less than 2 hours. When it ended, only 47 alien ships remained out of the original 300. Most of those survivors were damaged and barely functional. Admiral Rodriguez opened a general broadcast to the surviving alien vessels. Attention hegemony forces. This is Admiral Marcus Rodriguez of the Human Defense Fleet. You are ordered to power down your weapons and prepare to receive our terms. On one of the surviving ships, Commander Dexwill answered, Admiral Rodriguez, we surrender. Please, no more killing. Your surrender is accepted, Rodriguez replied. But I want you to understand something, Commander. You came here believing you knew what humanity was capable of. You were wrong. How? Dexwill asked. How did you hide all of this from us? Rodriguez smiled, though the alien could not see it. We didn't hide anything, Commander. You saw exactly what we wanted you to see. We showed you a young, frightened species with primitive technology. You believed it because it matched your expectations. On the intelligence ship, Cathara listened to the conversation with growing understanding. The humans had played a perfect deception. They had acted like terrified primitives while preparing the most sophisticated military operation she had ever seen. What happens now? Commander Dexwill asked. Now you carry a message back to your Hegemony Council, Rodriguez replied. Tell them that humanity is no longer interested in their protection. Tell them we will establish our own place in this galaxy. And if they send a larger fleet, Rodriguez's voice turned cold. Then we will destroy that one too. You see, Commander, you made a critical error in your assessment of our species. What error? You assumed we were like the other races you have conquered. You thought we would panic when faced with overwhelming force. But humans have been fighting each other for thousands of years. We know that the best defense against a larger enemy is to make the cost of victory too high to accept. Admiral Rodriguez paused, letting his words sink in. Your hegemony has ruled through fear for centuries, but fear only works against species that want to live more than they want to be free. You picked the wrong species to threaten. The transmission ended. The surviving alien ships began their long journey home, carrying news that would change the galaxy forever. The hegemony had learned something new about humanity. They were still learning. 3 weeks after the battle, Intelligence Officer Cathara stood before the Hegemony Grand Council. The great chamber on the capital world of Zenthar Prime had seen many victory celebrations over the centuries. Today, it witnessed something else entirely. Explain to us again how an entire fleet was destroyed by primitives, demanded High Chancellor Mordak. His voice echoed through the massive hall where representatives from 7 species sat in judgment. Cathara kept her voice steady as she delivered her report. Honored counselors, the humans were not primitives. They successfully deceived our intelligence network for years while building a military force far beyond our estimates. Impossible, declared Counselor Vexran, Overlord Vexhar's replacement. Humans have barely mastered faster-than-light travel. How could they develop such advanced weapons? Cathara had spent weeks analyzing the battle data. The truth was disturbing. They stole our technology, Counselor. Then they improved it. Silence filled the chamber. The idea that a younger species could improve upon hegemony technology was almost unthinkable. Furthermore, Kithara continued, they used psychological warfare against us. They presented themselves as desperate and frightened while secretly preparing the most sophisticated military trap in recorded history. High Chancellor Mordak leaned forward. Are you saying they planned this entire confrontation? Yes, Your Excellence. I believe they wanted us to attack them. Why would they want that? Kithara chose her words carefully. Because they knew they could win. The council chamber erupted in angry voices. Representatives from multiple species shouted denials and accusations. The idea that humans had deliberately provoked and defeated the hegemony was too shocking to accept. But the evidence was undeniable. 300 ships had entered the Sol system. 47 had returned. What do we know about their current military strength? Asked Councillor Theksan. Unknown, Kethar admitted. The humans revealed capabilities we never suspected they possessed. There may be other surprises we have not discovered. What about retaliation? Surely we cannot allow this defeat to go unanswered. High Chancellor Mordak considered the question. That decision will require careful thought. The humans have proven they are more dangerous than we believed. Meanwhile, in the Sol system, humanity was dealing with the aftermath of their victory in their own way. Ambassador Sarah, Chen stood on the observation deck of the new space station orbiting Earth. Through the transparent aluminum windows, she could see the wreckage of alien ships being carefully collected by human salvage crews. Quite a view, said Admiral Rodriguez as he joined her. It's not every day you get to see the birth of a new galactic power, Sarah replied. Rodriguez nodded. Any word from the colonies? All secure. The mining operations in the asteroid belt are already studying alien technology. Our engineers are very excited about what they're finding. Good. We'll need every advantage we can get. Sarah looked at him curiously. You think they'll come back? Eventually, Rodriguez said. The hegemony has ruled this galaxy for too long to accept defeat easily. But next time, they'll come prepared for a real war. And we'll be ready for them. That's the plan. Across the system, humanity was indeed preparing. The victory over the hegemony fleet had been overwhelming, but human leaders knew it was only the beginning. On Mars, shipyards that had been hidden underground for years were now working openly. The Nemesis had been joined by 2 sister ships with more under construction. In the asteroid belt, entire asteroids were being converted into weapons platforms. What the aliens had dismissed as mining operations were actually the largest military construction project in human history. On the outer colonies, defensive systems that had never appeared on any official report were coming online. Humanity had learned from centuries of warfare against themselves. They knew that winning one battle did not win a war. President Martinez addressed the United Earth Assembly from the capital in Geneva. My fellow humans, we have achieved something remarkable. For the first time in galactic history, a young species has successfully resisted hegemony conquest. The assembly hall erupted in cheers, but Martinez raised his hand for silence. However, we must not let victory make us overconfident. The hegemony has ruled 7 species across thousands of worlds for centuries. They will not accept our independence without a fight. He paused, looking around the chamber at representatives from every human colony and space station. But we have advantages they do not understand. We have spent our entire history fighting each other. We know how to wage war against superior enemies. We know how to turn weakness into strength. Most importantly, we know something the hegemony has forgotten. Freedom is worth any price. Liberty is worth any sacrifice. The assembly rose to give him a standing ovation that lasted 10 minutes. In deep space, the message was being received by human ships throughout the galaxy. For years, human merchants and explorers had been secretly establishing relationships with other species under hegemony rule. Captain Lisa Wong read the message aboard her disguised freighter in the Centauri system. Around her, the bridge crew of the peaceful trader prepared to shed their cover. Signal all ship, she ordered. Operation Liberation is now active. Across the galaxy, dozens of human vessels revealed their true nature. They were not peaceful traders or scientific expeditions. They were intelligence ships, carrying weapons and support for any species brave enough to resist hegemony rule. The message they broadcast was simple. Humanity offers alliance to all free peoples. The hegemony's rule is ending. On the former Calarian homeworld, the message was received with disbelief and hope. The proud warrior race had been enslaved for 20 years, but they had never forgotten their desire for freedom. Calarian resistance leader Varkash read the human message 3 times before believing it. "Is this real?" he asked his aide. The broadcast came from a ship in orbit, his aide confirmed. They are offering weapons and tactical support. Varkash felt something he had not experienced in decades: hope. Similar scenes played out on dozens of worlds. Species that had accepted hegemony rule because resistance seemed impossible suddenly had new options. Back in the Sol system, Sarah Chen received reports from across the galaxy. The human victory had inspired other species to consider rebellion against their alien overlords. "Admiral," she said to Rodriguez during their daily briefing, "we may have started something bigger than we intended." "How so?" "Intelligence reports indicate that at least 15 species are showing signs of unrest. The hegemony's authority is being questioned for the first time in centuries." Rodriguez smiled. "Good. The best way to ensure our own freedom is to make sure the hegemony has too many problems to focus on us." "But if other species rebel, won't that force the hegemony to respond with overwhelming violence?" "Probably," Rodriguez agreed. "But that's exactly what we want." Sarah looked confused. "Think about it," Rodriguez explained. "The hegemony's power comes from the belief that resistance is hopeless. If multiple species rebel at once, that belief is shattered. Even if the rebellions fail, the idea of freedom will spread, and if they succeed, then the hegemony falls apart completely. Either way, humanity benefits," Sarah nodded slowly. "We're not just fighting for our own freedom. We're trying to bring down the entire system." "Now you understand," Rodriguez said. "This war was never just about Earth, it was about proving that the hegemony could be defeated. And we did prove it. We did. The question now is whether we can survive the consequences." In the weeks that followed, reports reached Earth of uprisings on 12 different worlds. The hegemony was forced to divide its attention between crushing rebellions and planning retaliation against humanity. But the humans had bought themselves something precious: time. Time to build more ships. Time to prepare better defenses. Time to forge alliances with other free species. Most importantly, time to plan their next move. Admiral Rodriguez stood in the command center deep beneath Earth's surface, studying tactical displays that showed human forces throughout the galaxy. The Nemesis and her sister ships patrolled the outer system. Hidden weapon platforms waited among the asteroids. Disguised ships carried the message of freedom to distant worlds. "Admiral," his aide reported, "long-range sensors are detecting increased hegemony fleet activity in the Rigel sector. It looks like they're assembling for a major operation." "How major?" "Preliminary reports suggest over 1,000 ships, sir." Rodriguez nodded calmly. "Send word to all commands. Begin preparations for Phase 2, sir." "The hegemony thinks they're preparing to invade us," Rodriguez explained. "They don't realize we're preparing to invade them." 3 months after the battle for Earth, Ambassador Sarah Chen sent a message to the Hegemony Grand Council. Her words were broadcast across the galaxy for all to hear. "To the rulers of the hegemony, you came to our system believing you would easily conquer another primitive species. Instead, you learned that humanity cannot be conquered by force or intimidated by threats. You thought we were negotiating for our surrender. You were wrong. We were never negotiating. We sent was the Nemesis. Now you know the truth about humanity. We do not seek your permission to be free. We do not ask for your approval to exist. We take what is ours by right and defend it with our lives. Thank you for watching and comment for next.